This is a Saberforge Prodigy Lightsaber Hilt. So it's an original lightsaber hilt designed by Saberforge, but it definitely has some Graflex inspiration behind it, Graflex sensibilities, especially with the bunny ears at the top. So here is the overall hilt. The overall hilt is about 12 inches long from the bottom of the pommel to the very top of the emitter section, or about 10.5 inches if you're counting from the bottom of the pommel to the bottom of the emitter section, depending on how you look at it. Now at the very top of the hilt we do have those bunny ears, which are, very characteristic of a Graflex style lightsaber. And then below that we have kind of this engraving, and this is very much modeled after Graflex lightsaber too, but it's just kind of engraved into the hilt, and then it has that black coloring in it to sort of offset the metallic silver coloring of the emitter section. So this is an S-curve emitter, and we do have a little window at the top, which again is inspired by the Graflex lightsaber. And then we have these two kind of circular cutout areas too, which is inspired by the Graflex lightsaber as well, although it doesn't have the little pins on the inside. And here's another kind of faux button in a way. It's actually, well, you can see that's a window. That's a hole right there. And it kind of looks like the button on the Graflex lightsaber. So we have a screw holding in the bunny ears up here. You can see that it would take a hex wrench to undo that. Then we have a blade retention screw here. We have another retention screw below that. And that's kind of the main emitter section of this hilt. And then below that we have a bit of a taper, and so we have this kind of neck area, or sort of a taper where you could use this kind of for spinning. And there are a few different kind of rings in this section, and that black coloring kind of is a nice offset to the overall kind of metallic silver look of the hilt. So moving down, we have a few dummy switches here. So I mean, if you could install this hilt and put actual switches here, but if you're using this as a display piece, as I am currently, it's nice to have these dummy switches. And then we have some of these, they really remind me of the Death Star corridor, these kind of rounded off sections here, also above the emitter section, or kind of rather just in the emitter section. And then we have these kind of vertical lines around the switch section as well. So moving down, we have another kind of neat area for the grip section, where we have these alternating sort of rings that are black or metallic silver. So that's kind of cool. It's a little bit like the Luke Skywalker Return of the Jedi lightsaber, I think. And here is the cover tech wheel, and then finally we have sort of one of these doorknob style pommels. It's a little reminiscent of the Obi-Wan Kenobi prequel lightsaber, or maybe the Revan lightsaber, and it has kind of these very low profile cube rings sort of built into the design, and it is a vented pommel, of course. So the pommel is removable, and that's the only part of this hilt that's removable. So it's a two-piece hilt. It's got this main body and then the pommel. So let's see if I can get the pommel back. And, well, it is kind of a miniaturized sort of doorknob style pommel as well. So it doesn't get in the way too much either. But yeah, this has just been kind of a quick look at the Saberforge Prodigy Lightsaber Hilt. It's got a lot of Graflex kind of notes to it, but it's definitely its own design as well, and it doesn't have an activation box or control box like the Graflex lightsaber, but one of the main features that does kind of stick out of the hilt, if you don't want things like that, that would be the bunny ears, although you could remove those if you wanted to, because they're attached with this screw right here. So this has just been a look at Saberforge Prodigy. Feel free to comment below.